I don't give a damn if you don't like me. I like myself. Drink the drink. I like myself. I like myself. Eat the food. Inside the bed, drinking rum. Now get stupid and tumble down. Sweet little lady want some fun. I don't want sex without a condom. I like myself. Real bad. I like myself. I like myself. Hey, so I eat.
Hey, here we have Rodney Grant from Pinelands Creative Workshop. Rodney, you've been doing some work in the region recently, Barbados and the OECS workshop for women, for the empowerment of women. Can you elaborate a little bit on this?
Well, basically, we started the project last year, November 2011, and we started with the basis of not knowing what it is that women wanted to do. So we established some think tanks in 3 countries, Dominica, Grenada, and Barbados, to try to capture what were some of the ideas, what were some of the things that women were presently doing in these 3 countries, and then what were some of the businesses that they can go into that were possible for them to go into, and what we were calling some of the emerging markets. So we were looking at certain sectors like ICT and services, agro industries, cultural industries, energy and the environment. So we were trying to capture what were some of the ideas that they can come out as these new areas emerge as new economic drivers going into the future. We came up with some very innovative ideas out of the 3 think tanks, and then we were able to move then to the second phase, where we actually did training this year to try to move some of those ideas to the next level in terms of developing them into business plans. Pretty much what we were looking for in terms of the ideas in the business planning were to get businesses that were export driven, that had export potential, that had growth potential, particularly, and how we could then manifest this in a phase 3. So actually what we are working on now, after the conclusion of the business plan training, is how we can work with the various export agencies in the countries and on a regional level to type of help some of these businesses to get their products and their ideas in terms of regional level. Because if you understand the Caribbean well, the consumer base is a very small consumer base at the national level in each country. Dominica has about 70,000 people. Grenada has about 110,000. Barbados got about 260. So the Caribbean on its whole is a very small consumer base at the national level. Cumulatively, we have a wider market base. This is why the Caribbean single market is so important to us. Globally, we have the world to work with in terms of exporting our products. Now, we have to be able to work with these women if we are talking about working with the project within the context of poverty reduction, to be able to move the concept of from micro to small to larger businesses. So the idea is to have these businesses grow to the point where they become large entities. The only way we can do that is to market them on a global level or on a regional level, where they have stronger consumer support and it increases their profit margins. So this is really what we're looking at in terms of a long-term process and a long-term strategy. So we are now in the process, specifically in Dominica, we are working with Dexia. Dexia have come on board in terms of how we can develop some of these export strategies for some of these businesses. We know they're already working with the Taloma Group in terms of getting their products out into the markets. We want to be able to help them, to help the Taloma Group expand beyond what they're presently doing in terms of marketing and working with the hospitals to a broader market. We have CARICOM as a starting base, and we have to be able to get them into the other old senior citizens homes and the hospitals in the region. In terms of what Africa is doing, her products that has global appeal and global reach. We're talking about greening economies now. She's producing products which is utilizing this concept in terms of going back to the environment, using the indigenous products of the countries. And if we're talking about developing green businesses, she's hitting it right on the head. So in terms of facilitating her entry for her products into global markets, like hotels that use soaps on an everyday basis with clients, even hospitals,
Soap, shampoo, and
shampoos and body care products. So these are things that people use every day. So it's how can we get these things in the markets, and the same goes for all the other businesses that we will be working on in the 3 countries. How can we get them to larger markets? Actually, we've been doing some negotiations with Propel. Propel is a project that emerged out of CEDA in terms of reaching high quality markets. The only thing with Propel is that it focuses on those which are agro-based. So Africa may benefit, Lucille may benefit in terms of the Toloma, but there may be others in terms of the ICT and services which may not benefit. But still, it adds considerable value to the project in terms of what we are doing and what we are hoping to do.
Okay.
I'm Lucy Lawrence from the community of Delis in Dominica. I'm representing a group known as the Toloma Women in Action Group. We, as a small group of women, unemployed, decided to work together as one in order that we could sustain our family and that we could be more dependent. So we went forming the group in about 3 years' time. But then we were a bit disorganized. But with the help of Women's Bureau, we were able to come together, and they gave us assistance as to how to manage a group, how to run the group properly. And there we went on. After Hurricane David, 90% of my community was unemployed, especially in the women's sector. So we got assistance for different areas. We sought help from the government of Dominica, who has allocated a portion of land where we have erected a building. And this, we got funds from Small Business Grant, Jeff. And we have now a building which is nearing completion. And in order that we can proceed, we are trying to develop ourselves in accordance with the Bureau of Standards, that we could have a better end product. We are in need of better machineries and technical assistance. With the help of Pineland, we have got training as to set up our business plan. Right now, I am able to even form a business plan with the help of the training from here. And it's through Pineland that I am here at FORMIC 2012, because it was through their inspiration that I attended the different seminars, and I'm here today on behalf of my group.
Okay, you say you were here on with a project.
Yeah.
You started with a project. So tell me something about the project itself. What is it supposed to achieve?
The project is that we process a product known as Toloma, and also we do cassava. That's from this, after manufacturing, our end product will be used as a porridge and a cereal also.
Right.
That's
Okay.
We presently export products.
We do not really export on the outside market. We only produce locally. But we are seeking now to venture the outside market, especially Mapnik, where a lot of our product is being used. It is in great demand in Mapnik.
Toloma. Tell me something about Toloma.
Toloma, as you can see, it is a very nutritious meal. It can be used in the case of babies. You can just add a lot of milk and it will help them grow quickly and strong. In the case, it can be used for elderly people. Right? And in some instances where you have a diarrhea, in cases of diarrhea, that is what will stop a diarrhea when it is used black. With just a little pinch of salt, it can stop a diarrhea immediately. It also is good in helping young men as they grow up to develop stamina, to help them in elderly men, the same.
And this is made from cassava.
The same of toloma, that's the toloma.
Toloma.
Arrowroot.
Arrowroot.
Yeah.
And this is cassava.
Yeah, yes, this one is made from cassava.
So what's the difference between cassava and arrowroot?
This one, the arrowroot, is that you'll have to boil it. You will do it as you do any cornmeal. The same way you do a meal for cornmeal, you could do just the same. You add milk and you do it just the same. With the farine, it can be used as it is. You can only cook red beans. You can just cook your red beans, your gravy, and you add it to it and use it as a meal.
Is it something you can make bread from? Or bread with?
Yes, you make cassava bread out of it. You also make cassava bread out of it. And you can also add milk and just use it as a cereal.
Well, these products are obviously popular in Dominica.
Yes, they're very popular.
These are like kind of traditional products.
Yes, that's what the Caribs and the Arawaks lived on.
Right, okay.
We are in this process simply because we do not want what our ancestors had been doing to diminish. We want to keep it going on. So it will be something traditional.
Okay. And tell me something. How does what you're doing now in terms of not your project now? This is the entire workshop. Tell me how the workshop has helped you to develop your business or to take it to a different level.
Well, since we started, we got assistance from Pineland. We have training, technical training, because in the earlier stages I couldn't form a business plan, but now I am able to, as I say, make a business plan. And we also need, right now, in that meeting here today, what we are trying to get is assistance mainly so that we could just continue, our process would just continue.
But in looking at the products are fairly well developed. You got them packaged, they're labeled and everything. How did you get
Well, we did it with the help of Dexia. Dexia, it's an export agency in Dominica.
Okay.
And they're the ones who really got, we've also assistance and educating us on different standards, and we also work with the Bureau of Standards in Dominica.
Okay. All right, thanks. We know that Pinelands Creative Workshop is not a very rich organization. And therefore, what about sponsorship for these programs? And also, give me an idea of how many businesses or groups are part of the program.
Right. Actually, we started out, the think tank process was a very wide, engaging process. But in terms of filtering out to how much businesses we can support, we were actually looking at between 7 and 10 within each country. So we presently have about 7 or 8 in Dominica. We did Grenada right after Dominica. We had about 15 businesses there. When we did Barbados, we had about 25. So basically we're talking about 25 and about another 22 or so. So we're talking about well over 40 businesses that we're working with presently in terms of getting them to the point of actually having a business that is functional, actually having a product or service that is marketable, that can go to market. In terms of the resources for the project, what we've been doing in the absence of financial resources, because finances is critical, one, in terms of giving the technical support, the ongoing technical support to these women. Two, in terms of some of the actual on-hand stuff that they need right now in terms of the standardization and the branding and stuff. And then what we've been doing in respect to resources is also forming partnerships. So that's why we formed partnerships with Propel. During the Format Conference, I've actually had some interesting discussions with a number of players, which I'm looking to bring on board, that can also bring resources and assistance, technical support to the project in many different ways. So the development of the website is also another important instrument that we've been using in terms of pulling resources to the project. So we're working on what we're calling a regional resource center for women, working on the technical level, and we hope to capture on the regional site all the pertinent information that is necessary to help women to set their businesses up and to actually continue to support them over the long term. So it resolves the sustainability issue. This is one of the key issues, critical determinants of business that women raised when we did the think tanks, in that there were no mechanisms to support them over the long term. So what we did was to establish the Regional Resource Center for Women, which can provide all of the technical support that they will need over the long term. It is there for use on an ongoing basis. So we're building that. You can reach mentors on there. They can get free online training in terms of accounting, in terms of marketing. We've just established a marketplace where we're hoping that they can meet vendors, they can meet salespersons, they can meet philanthropists, people who may be willing to invest in their businesses. So that on this site, we are hoping to put in all the technical and financial resources that they would need to support them in an ongoing way. So we see this project as a long-term venture. We really thank UN Women for facilitating the initial injection. They are the only funder to this venture right now at this point in time. So we take our hats off to UN Women for seeing it through. We started with just a discussion in terms of what we can do to help women over the long term. And this discussion has now emerged into this regional movement. And we hope to be able to link this into all of the other necessary regional movements that's happening. We hope that also, in a very practical way, some of the lessons that we are learning from this project could feed into some of the macro policy dimensions, because at the end of the day, this is necessary to set the framework what's supposed to happen at the national level. It is persons like these that we should be able to hear from in terms of what are some of their challenges, basic things like access to microfinance, microcredit, and then some of the microfinance facilities. What are some of the challenges with these things with microcredit and microfinance, and how can we feed this into the policy dimensions in terms of setting a national framework, national environment that will enable the people that really benefit. Because at the end of the day, we keep saying in terms of our poverty strategies, our poverty reports, women are the vulnerable sector. So we are hoping that this project can move to the next step of actually being a very practical, innovative approach to helping the women to move from poverty to more sustainable livelihoods in terms of doing things for themselves and for their households.
How long has this initiative been going on?
We started last year, November.
Wow.
So it's just less than a year, but we've done so much in just under a year. And like I say, we are in it for the long haul. We're hoping to get ongoing support from UN Women. We're hoping to build other partners into the project. I just had a discussion with the OS Youth Business Trust Executive Director, and we've been talking about how we can bring them into the picture. Particularly, we've been talking about ongoing training using webinars, and how they can support that type of facility in terms of talking to people using the internet facility. So we have some very interesting dynamics in terms of going into the future for the project.
I'm Dafrika Thomas from the Green Island of Dominica, and I'm here in Barbados at the Forumic Conference. It's the 15th conference, and it's the first time that it's been held in the Caribbean, so I'm very fortunate to be a part of it. I'm the owner of a herbal shop in Dominica. It's called Nature's Caress, and what we do is utilize the locally grown herbs in our island to create body products such as soaps, lip balms, body scrubs, etc. There are three main impediments to small business as I see it. One is funding, two, marketing, and three, training. Thanks to Pineland, however, in 2011, we met with Mr. Grant, who did a women's conference women's workshop. I think there were about 87 women, and out of that, 7 of us were chosen for phase 2, which was an intense 3-day business plan development workshop, which has helped a lot because through that training I have right now started the ball rolling in approaching financial institutions to receive funding. So this has helped. The pending problem that I'm seeing right now is getting my business out there through marketing, and Pineland has also been involved with Dexia, Dominica Import-Export Agency, to help, as they have promised, not only to pull us out of the water, but in some way help us to swim. So I would think that, I do think that being associated with Pineland, the 3 impediments that I spoke about earlier, I see them being diminished, and I see my business going very, very far in the future.
You said you're doing herbal,
Using herbs to produce
external use.
body products.
Yeah, that is a particular market niche in Dominica.
Yes, it is, because we are known as the nature island of the Caribbean. However, as with all the Caribbean countries, we see that we are moving a little away from our indigenous heritage.
What are the products that you make?
What are the products?
Yeah, and what are the main ingredients, like the herbs that you use that are popular?
You want specific herbs?
Yeah, that are popular.
There are different ones. I would say the most popular ones are the ones that members of our country know, like gloricida, a lot of honey, coconut oil, which is beneficial for a lot of skin problems, basilic, marigold, cocoa. These are some of the most popular ones. But what we are trying to do is reintroduce people, Dominicans and foreigners, to the benefits of herbs, probably those that they have forgotten how to use, or probably don't even know that are beneficial to them. So that's what we're trying to do.
So you find that it's a small market, how your products are expensive or they're reasonable?
I would say they are reasonable because of the benefits that they offer. We all know that herbs are the most
the healing of the nation.
well, not really, but it's the safest medications that we have, and all medications basically come from herbs. So what I'm trying to do is strengthen that knowledge, train people, have trainings at schools, for example, where we would introduce children to this knowledge.
Have you exported your products to any other Caribbean island or country?
Indirectly, tourists do visit the island and they are interested, but I am seeking a more steady, more stable markets. First of all, to the French countries, Martinique and Guadeloupe, and St. Lucia, and hopefully Dexia will help in that regard.
So how much of the market does the tourism take out? Is it a huge chunk, or is it more the local population that supports you, or tourists?
The local population supports more regularly. The tourists, they support more intensely during the tourist season,
yeah.
but quantities are higher with the tourists. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much. Yeah, Rodney. How you viewing the project in the Caribbean and CSME context? Is it a positive?
Well, particularly we've always understood, this is coming from the perspective of Pinelands and our interest in microcredit and microfinance development, that is real value to developing small enterprises. I grew up in a community where shops, buying from a window, was the order of the day. Now the value of these things is that they create a fluidity in the economic system is that persons buy and sell every day. The small shops buy and sell every day. So they create a fluidity in the economy that large businesses only do on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, whereas these small businesses do it on a daily basis. So they create a kind of rollover of money in the car, helps to keep an economic engine going. So small businesses and having the ability to develop small business. I remember looking at Trinidad, when Trinidad went through their crisis with the oil. Automatically, small businesses flow all over the country, and that helped a lot in terms of the impact, in terms of ordinary people at the household level. So it serves two purposes. One, it helps with the impact in terms of poverty and what people may be feeling at the household level, because you're now able to be turning over money on a daily basis, because small businesses do that. We buy and sell every day. And then it creates the fluidity in the economy in that vendors, service providers are able to be selling services, selling products to these businesses on an ongoing basis. Because you buy three cases of drinks, they sell out by the end of the day or the end of the second day. So you're always constantly ordering, you're constantly buying. So small businesses are very important in the economy, especially now at a time like this. So we're talking about economic downturn worldwide. You need this type of innovation. You need this type of injection into economies to keep money rolling over, to keep people employed, to keep things happening. Because if you have people who are buying and selling every day from vendors and service providers, it means this is businesses, this is economic turnover that is happening on an ongoing basis. So it helps to keep the unemployment level down. So creating small businesses is so vital. It's so vital on all fronts in terms of our ability to impact poverty, create sustainable livelihoods, and to create an economic engine that is very vital for any economy in terms of its fluidity.
Of course, the relevant question would be, how do you prepare youngsters from small? And it would bring into question or into bear the question of the education system and how relevant it is
critical.
present day and modern day times.
Critical.
And even in terms of dealing with the economy, having the skills available to be able to do the things necessary that would be in demand in the economy.
You're going into a touchy area now.
Yeah, I did it for purpose.
And one that I always advocate is that we need more than ever in this time to be able to revamp our educational system to be more responsive to the challenges that we have now. We are saying now that we need people to be more entrepreneurial, but then we are not servicing that through the educational system that we presently have. We're not producing specialist people in our universities and our secondary education at the primary level. So then this is why we are playing catch up. If we look at Latin Americans and the other first world countries, we are so far behind in terms of our ability to take advantage of economic opportunity, take advantage of opportunities in terms of microcredit and development, because we are not entrepreneurial people. We don't have that inculcated in us. Why? Because all for the last 10, 15, 20, 200 years, we have focused primarily on academic, turning out academic people with making sure persons have a degree, making sure that people have 6 certificates. But we have never really focused on turning out business people, turning out specialist people. Even in terms of specialists, I remember recently I was some part of the world, but I was reading, there was the universities in the US, and when you look at the automotive industry, they were producing degrees specific to the automotive sector. No, we don't do that type of thing. What we would do is create a management degree. And we stop there.
Our engineering.
So we're not producing specialist people. And I think this very educational system need to go in terms of producing specialist people. So when we get to the junction, so we're now talking about emerging economies and stuff. But we don't have our people that are geared to respond to the emerging economies. We now have to begin to prepare people to deal with these things. So these are some of the dynamic challenges that we have to face. And we can only resolve these things. I mean, we have to begin now. We are already behind by almost 50 years. But if we could begin now, to kind of revamp the educational system, take the emphasis off of getting 10 certificate, but the emphasis on developing specialist people from early. So we should be able to, from moving a child from primary school into secondary school, work out okay, all right? So we have children that are interested in engineering. We have children that are interested in becoming technical directors in theater. And start to focus on that. Rather than wasting time doing the Spanish and doing the French and doing a biology, the child have no interest in. The child just have to do it because that's the mandate of the particular educational system. So a lot of where we are going in terms of entrepreneurial development, in terms of meeting the demands of the world, in terms of the emerging economies, have to do with how we speak to or revamping the educational system as it is presently is.
Hey, we don't care if them like it.